and you will go crazy in the pursuit of trying to change every little thing about you, whether that's your personality, whether that's how you look, whatever it is, you will go crazy in the pursuit. What's up, YouTube? It's tinysey, and I'm back with another YouTube video. Today, I'm going to be talking about the myth of pretty privilege, and I'm going to talk about kind of the dangers of trying to pursue it. What made me think about this was the TikToker Finita, because recently she's been kind of on a tirade and getting canceled because of a lot of the problematic things that she's doing and saying to her audience. Now, I think there's a lot of truth sprinkled in there, but ultimately, I think a lesson that we can learn from everything that she's going through is that there is a myth to pretty privilege. There is kind of a smoke and mirrors to the whole pretty privilege thing for certain people, at least. Let's say that for certain people. And there's rules to it. It's not so cut and dry. So let's get into the video. First, we should define what pretty privilege is so that we're on the same page. Pretty privilege awards significant societal advantages to individuals deemed conventionally attractive. While there are clear benefits to such preferential treatment, a deeper examination by researchers reveal there are also certain unwanted consequences to being highly attractive. So essentially, pretty privilege is something that people conventionally attractive are able to receive. People are nicer to you. They might open the door for you. They might buy something for you. They might just speak nicer to you. They might want to be your friend. In this society, we know that people that are conventionally attractive, closer to being the ideal type, they are the ones that society just treats nicer. They get more opportunities. They're able to get through the world being a bit more mediocre than the rest, right? And some groups, some people, they're just able to exercise pretty privilege at a higher degree than others. That's also a nuance to it. Pretty privilege is not necessarily something that everyone is going to access at the same rate, even if you are pretty. For example, say we have a woman that looks like Lori Harvey that's really pretty, but she's a Black woman. And while she may receive pretty privilege, she receives less pretty privilege than someone that looks like Bella Hadid. And this is because whiteness and white features are upheld as a beauty standard in America. So while a girl that's as pretty as Lori Harvey might have pretty privilege, she doesn't experience nearly the same amount as someone that's white or close to whiteness.
Hopefully we can all agree that this trend is problematic because people with these features really do exist. However, I think it's especially important that we note how a lot of the stigma towards these features is rooted in racism. For years, Black people and POC in films, characters, and other forms of media have been portrayed with these over-exaggerated features in order to dehumanize them. The purpose was to categorize a big nose, big lips, a wide face as undesirable, savage, and animalistic, and then associate these traits with certain races and ethnicities, and then link that to their worth and value as a human being. So it's crucial that we keep this in mind when we're thinking about what we find attractive. Because like a lot of social constructs, beauty standards are there to uphold other oppressive systems like racism and ableism. So it's okay if you don't have a petite nose and a small face. You're not any less attractive, and you deserve love and respect no matter how you look.
And something that kind of goes along with pretty privilege is the halo effect. And essentially what this is a cognitive bias that occurs when an initial positive judgment about a person unconsciously colors the perception of the individual as a whole. Now, just because they're pretty, they might be walking down the street, right? You see them, you assume, oh, they must be nice. Oh, they must be funny. Oh, they must be rich. Oh, they must be... fill in the blank, fill in the positive adjective. The halo effect is essentially talking about those positive assumptions that we make about people that are more attractive. And this is just something that we naturally do as humans. But conversely, there's also the horn effect. And what this is a cognitive bias that happens when you make a snap judgment about someone on the basis of one negative trait. And so essentially what this is, someone might be walking down the street and you might see something about them that's unfavorable. And because of this, you think, oh, they might be scary. Oh, they seem angry. Oh, they seem, mean, whatever. Insert negative adjective. And so this is something that we also do as humans. It's discrimination. It's just a flaw that we as humans have if we're not keeping our thoughts in check. And so going back to Finita, she used to be overweight, right? And she's been on a journey to weight loss for quite a while now. And she talks about kind of pretty much experiencing the horn effect, or the negative assumptions that people tell her, or the thoughts that they have about her because of how she used to look. And also, she talked about the fear that she had to express certain parts of herself because of the way she looked. So, almost like she was holding herself back or not being completely herself because of the way that she looked.
Some of y'all are acting like, oh my God, I've never seen Fanita act like this. She's using X, Y, and Z's mannerisms. She's acting like them. No, ma'am, no ham, no turkey. This is how I've always acted, bitch. Here's the thing, though. I'm going to give y'all some nuances and some intersectionalities about fucking life when you're a fat, dark-skinned black girl with a loud mouth and confidence on the internet. People fucking hate you because of what you look like, not because of what you say, bitch. And when I was on the internet, when I was fat, y'all bullied me relentless. I was a big body, nasty, wide back, ugly, fat bitch. Huh? So don't act like all this anger is coming out of nowhere, but I'm a smart bitch, right? I knew that I could never say the shit that I wanted to say to y'all. That's why I never ever address it. And maybe that's why y'all thought I was a pussy. Because when I was in real life, I would crack skulls. I would fight bitches that talked about me, right? But I want to be rich, famous. I want to get to the money. So I'm like, I can't be an angry fat. That's the worst ones. So I got to be a funny fat. Let me make a joke here and there. Brand deal here and there. Another brand deal. Okay, let me move to LA, right? And here's another thing. Y'all think everybody on the internet is fake. I'm not one of them. I'm real, raw, and authentic. Huh? When I go into writers' rooms, when I'm invited to record labels and CEO boards, I talk just like this in front of them, and they know me and they love Fanita. I never have to change my cadence. I've always talked like this. You bitches just didn't hear me because I was fat. Oh, yes, I was fat as fuck and y'all couldn't hear me. Y'all couldn't see me. But now, look at me. You ain't got no choice but to see me now. So y'all will not rewrite history. Y'all would no longer say that I was insecure. I was still in a little teensy weensy yellow polka dot bikini when I was 325 pounds. Don't play with me. I was still in a crop top if I could find it in my size. Was never scared. The body was T. Pretty ass fat girl. Right, and y'all must forgot about how y'all treated her. Y'all called me ugly for 3 months straight because I said some people were ugly. I didn't even say nobody's name. Y'all harassed me for 3 months straight because I needed a retwist, anti-black, and because I was still big in that video. And now I'm 165 soaking wet. I'm 165 pounds soaking wet now. Skin is clear, face is T, and so is the body, and I just got it done to add the enhancements, right? So you can't talk about me anymore. So now I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. Call me Gordon Ramsay. I'm exactly who I think I am. I've earned the right to talk like this. And I need y'all to know going into Fanita's next era, either you in the comments, yay, Fanita, we love you, or I'm going to pick a profile picture and get to fucking reading you.
Part of the reason that she wanted to become pretty was so that she would be able to kind of attain this pretty privilege and experience what it's like to be able to do whatever you want. Now, this is, in my opinion, part of the myth of pretty privilege, this notion that because you're pretty, you're going to be able to do whatever you want and say whatever you want, right? And so I will say that in some instances, like if you are white, if you are really close to being conventionally attractive, then yes, you kind of can get away with whatever you want. If you're looking like a model, you kind of can get away with a lot. And we see it happen all the time. We see them able to be mean sometimes. And I think a lot of people when they were younger experienced popular people, pretty people, whatever you want to say, being mean or just excluding others because of the way they looked or because they didn't fit in with what was considered cool at the time. And so there's almost this trope of the mean girl that's also popular and really pretty. And they get away with it because a lot of times people want to be associated with the popular girl, with the popular guys. And so oftentimes they don't get checked, they don't get reprimanded for the way that they behave to the other people in the school. And so I think a lot of people that are conventionally attractive, they are able to get away with a lot of things. So in that sense, I think Vanita's thesis, or her theory, not thesis, her theory was correct, that if you are pretty, you are able to get away with more things. But I think that something that she forgot about was the fact that people that are minorities, people that are other, whether it's because you're unattractive, you're a minority, whatever it is, you're just not close enough to being conventionally attractive, the standards of being conventionally attractive, you don't access the full amount of pretty privilege. And this is something that's just so messed up about society, but it's something that's really real. And she felt as though if she lost weight, and I think this is something a lot of people probably do, and it's one of the dangers, is like trying to pursue being pretty, trying to lose weight, trying to fillers, Botox, all these things that people do to try to attain some pretty privilege, but forgetting that in the end of the day, only a few people really are going to access it. And yes, people might treat you better, but with Benita, she was thinking that she'd be able to say whatever she want, do whatever she want, act however she want. And as we know, with how the internet's treating her, that's just not correct. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. You have to be like a certain type to get away with everything. And you cannot be a dark-skinned Black woman and get away with doing and acting however you want. But I think that something really interesting, especially about her situation, was the fact that a lot of people accepted how she acted before, when she was more overweight. She always had an abrasive personality. She always was very like direct, and she was a comedian, honestly. And I feel like she always was that way, say whatever I want type of humor. That's how I always perceived it. They gave her a pass because of the way that she looked. And so that also proves that there's a lot of privileges that people get. Now, to be fair, that privilege is kind of tied to the body positivity movement. It's almost like the privilege that you get because people kind of pity you, and so then you kind of are allowed to have bad behavior.
So I've lost over 100 pounds. Oh my God! Yes, I used to be 100 pounds heavier, and now I used to be really, really overweight. Okay, so since losing weight, I find one thing particularly funny, and I also, society and the fat phobia is so deep in our world that I knew these things would happen before I had my weight loss surgery. Like, I was having these conversations with my friends and the fears that I had about losing weight. You can ask all my friends, we talk about it. But one of my main things is I felt like people were gonna start taking me more seriously the more I lose weight. Which by that, I mean, back in the day when I was fat as shit, I could say anything to y'all and y'all would get in the comments and gas it. Now, mind you, if you've been following me from the beginning till now, you see my personality has not changed at all. This is how I've always acted. But for the people that are coming in now, they think I'm mean. Everybody that's watching my content now think I'm mean as fuck. But 2 years ago, or even goddamn 6 months ago, and I have said this shit before, if I came on the internet and said, all you bitches are ugly, I'm prettier than all of you, I don't know how y'all breathe the same air as me. All y'all would get in the comment being like, yeah, Nina, you're so gorgeous, you're so cute, and all that shit was fake. And I know it was fake, and that's okay, because you bitches are fake. Society is fake, you guys are fat phobic. Y'all have to make the fat girl feel confident. She probably hates herself. We have to agree with her because she's fat and ugly, right? And she's unattractive. So this is us doing our due diligence for her, right? I'm not buying into the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because now when I say that exact same shit, now I'm a mean girl. Fanita, you've gotten mean since you've lost weight. What? I talk the exact same way. You guys, y'all, just find me more conventionally attractive. And also something that I've learned on this app is y'all hate conventionally attractive people. Because if a pretty girl says she's pretty, y'all will jump her to make sure y'all will find every fucking flaw you can to bring her down. So now because I'm looking more conventionally attractive to y'all, I've always thought I look good to you. Now I'm a mean girl. And I find that fucking hilarious.
But it's out of pity. It's weird. That guilt kind of leads people to be overly kind. And I think she's always had this sort of brash and just like abrasive comedy and humor and way of her personality. And to me, it's just comedy. It's how she expressed herself. Now that she's kind of doing the same type of humor, it's not being accepted in the same way. And it's because she kind of lost that privilege that she had being in an overweight body and people kind of accepting a little bit of bad behavior from you. And now going into a skinnier body, like there's this different standard that she has to be in. I guess she's not being put into the category that she thought that she would be put in, and people aren't liking her attitude. They're just kind of seeing it as, okay, you just don't have a good personality. So many people are trying to pursue pretty privilege. The beauty industry is making billions and billions of dollars because people are constantly striving to become more beautiful, constantly striving to attain some morsel of that pretty privilege. And sometimes you might get there and realize that there's nothing there for you. You take yourself with you. You take your personality with you. You take all of that stuff right along with you. And so if you don't heal that, now you're just in a prettier shell, you're in a prettier body, but then you still have all your insecurities, all your problems right there with you. And in the end of the day, especially if you didn't end up transforming into a Bella Hadid, like if you didn't end up transforming into a Bella Hadid, you are not going to even be allowed to get away with what you thought you were going to be able to get away in the first place. There's sort of this mythical part of it that becoming pretty will get rid of all of your problems, that it will absolve you of all of the issues that you have inside, or that for some reason you not being conventionally attractive is the reason for everything. And that's not to discredit the fact that not being pretty does sometimes suck in this world because of the way that they treat people, the way that they talk about you, the way that you can miss out of opportunities. You kind of do have to be exceptional. And I think especially for Black women, even if you are pretty, I think even for Black women, you have to be like a Lori Harvey level. And even then, she's probably not getting the same opportunities and access as a counterpart like a Kylie Jenner or a Bella Hadid, because she's Black. And you have to be exceptional when you are not the perfect ideal.
Have you noticed, the standard for Black women to be well kept is higher for any other type of woman?
Oh my God.
It's like to be deemed as a good looking Black woman, you have to be 10 out of 10, 7 days a week, 24/7. And we are not given the grace, not that we need to be given it, but we don't have a relaxed, casual look where we're still rated 10 out of 10.
Nope.
You have to be looking red carpet ready all the time. And that's because a lot of people treat Black women as something that you have to be in awe with.
Yeah.
If there's one thing the TikTok girlies will do, it will be trying to rebrand Eurocentric beauty standard and classist beauty standards over and over again by calling it a different trend each time. The whole clean girl aesthetic and Alex Earl aesthetic, whatever you want to call it, are people just praising blonde, skinny, white, rich girls. Which is okay, and I think we've all accepted that Eurocentric beauty standards will always be there and will always be the standard, but stop trying to repackage it. Call it for what it is. But what gets me more upset about it is now with the reemergence of like clean girl aesthetic and things like that, or this one really, really got me, was calling it Scandinavian girl aesthetic, which is really just really promoting and praising Europeanness and thinking that, oh, a girl is so much more stylish and pretty and put together if she's a white blonde Scandinavian girl. But it's the comparison to trends started by POC or made for more people of color and more inclusive of people of color, such as the BBL beauty standard, and people now calling it trashy. I think this is what makes it hard to be a woman of color, especially a young woman of color trying to be beautiful. Everyone wants it. Unfortunately, in a lookist society, beauty is currency for a lot of women. And just over and over again, seeing how any ethnic feature that becomes a trend or whatever, that's what it is a trend. I think about how I was so happy when bushy eyebrows became a thing, because I naturally had bushy eyebrows as a brown girl. And now it's a thing to overpluck your eyebrows or to bleach them again. People calling big, dark eyebrows or bushy eyebrows chuggy. My point is, I understand how hard it can be to want to conform to these beauty standards, but at the end of the day, it really just is praising whiteness. And I hope a lot of girls making these vision boards or really promoting these trends understand that and understand how it's naturally exclusive of women of color. But I also hope they know how they're literally just praising and upholding Eurocentric beauty standard.
It's all a bit of a hopeless chase sometimes. And I think what we need to do is just like embrace who we are, be who we are as we are, and not feel as though becoming more pretty, getting that boob job, getting the butt job, you know, whatever it is that you feel is the thing that you need to do, will be the solution, will be the solution to fixing all of your problems and fixing all of the hurt that society has put on you, or will like fix all of the negative experiences that happen to you or have happened to you and get rid of all the trauma that you've experienced in the past because of how you looked. Obviously easier said than done, but I think like we just have to do the work. A lot of times the answer is really just doing the work, working through those issues, getting that therapist, talking through things, writing in your journal. You can be beautiful, and that's why it's like a psychological thing. You can be beautiful, and oftentimes a lot of these people, you are beautiful, but it's because they aren't fitting this super narrow beauty standard that the world has set. And because they don't fit into that tiny little box, they don't view themselves as pretty. And so it's really psychological. You just have to psychologically do the work. It might actually feel like, oh, if I just become pretty, like, oh, if I just had some of that pretty privilege. I think 7 times out of 10, you will get on the other side and realize that it wasn't that you needed the serum. It wasn't that you needed the boob job. It wasn't that you needed whatever you thought. Like, and sometimes you might do the therapy and still want to do whatever it is that you want to do. But I just feel like there's such a myth and there's just this lie that keeps going on because it sells. It's able to make the beauty industry billions and billions of dollars.
Beauty industry manufactures insecurities, and then the insecurities are the vehicle that they use to then convince us that we need the products that they are marketing and selling to us. When we think about the fact that naming things gives them power that they didn't have before, why do we have words like dark circle, pores, hyperpigmentation, discoloration, uneven skin tone, dull skin, dry skin? What they're selling to us and what they're manipulating us into thinking is that these things are flaws. These are problems. You need the solution to these problems. There is nothing wrong. There's nothing inherently negative about any of these things. We are animals. We are a species of breathing beings. We have lungs, we have skin, which is an organ that exists to protect our internal organs. What are the random marks on an elephant called? We have no idea because it's an elephant. They're selling you the ideology that youth is beautiful. They're selling you the ideology that beauty is paramount. They're selling you the ideology that a Eurocentric conception of beauty is paramount. And they're selling you an ideology that you are not enough.
And I think another unhealthy part or a dangerous part of pursuing pretty privilege is that there is a pretty personality. And we see that through trends like It Girl and Clean Girl. And essentially what this is teaching you how to be cool. How do you be an in person? How do you be soft, girly, like feminine, how to be feminine, and all these sorts of trends and people that are teaching you how to be it girls, clean girls, etc. They're kind of just buying into the notion that you have to act a certain way to be cool. From the way I see it, it just plays into this hierarchy that we have that a lot of people buy into already, that there's a way you have to act, there's a way you have to look.
Here are some tips that are going to help you look more soft and feminine. Watch the way that you speak to people. When you're speaking and interacting with people, you want to speak in a lot more softer tones. No cursing, not being extremely loud, and drawing a lot of attention to yourself. You don't want to give off too much aggressive energy, and not cursing especially is going to help you do that. Don't argue with people. And this doesn't mean just letting people walk all over you. You can still stand your ground and be assertive without having to go back and forth and argue with anybody. Now, this one is pretty self-explanatory, but literally be a nice person. Be respectful, be polite, be kind. Don't give off any mean girl, negative energy.
Another dangerous part in pursuing this clean girl, it girl, is that we all are trying to pursue this one way of being feminine or being pretty, whether you're a guy or a girl, whatever is the pretty personality or the it personality that makes you more favorable in people's eyes, that make you have more privilege. It's like this endless pursuit for perfection. People are stripping away their natural self. People are abandoning their authentic self. They're not being who they are. Like, as a society, the more we pedestalize beauty, we're getting further and further away from being authentic. They talk about how growing up attractive can give you confidence and social skills, and you can be seen as more competent, likable, persuasive. People will treat you better if you're more attractive. And honestly, it's not something that we can do away with as a society, which is why it's just like up to the individual to recognize that you just might not be born with certain privileges, and you will go crazy in the pursuit of trying to change every little thing about you, whether that's your personality, whether that's how you look, whatever it is. You will go crazy in the pursuit, and it's never ending, honestly, because the goalposts will keep shifting if you weren't just born that way, if you weren't just popped out the womb that way, right? The beauty standard is constantly changing, and for some people, for some minorities, Black women, adjacent, whatever, for them it's like even more of a just endless pursuit, being more reflective of why you're trying to pursue it. What do you think is going to happen? What access do you think you're going to be able to get? How do you think you're going to be able to act? What you have control over, just do it now. The more mindful people are in their pursuit of pretty privilege, in their pursuit of beauty, the more successful that experiment will go for them. Most of us, I think, we want to improve ourselves for the right reasons, for positive reasons. We don't want to be fueled by negativity. We also don't want to be tricked. We don't want to think that there is this mythical solution to all of our problems. You still have your emotions, you still have your trauma to dig through, and you still have the wounds to heal at the end of the day. And the perception that you have of yourself, you still have to fix that in the end of the day. I think personally, authenticity is just number one. Like, that's the most comfortable thing. Just not having to care, not having to smile when you don't want to smile, not having to wear your hair a certain way when you don't want to wear your hair that way. You know, just being able to be in your body and be happy about it, body positivity. In 1969, the body positivity movement began with the fat rights movement. And a young engineer in New York named Bill Fabry was very angry about the way that the world was treating his wife, Joyce. And so he decided to gather a small group of people and created the National Association to Aid Fat Americans. And in the 1990s, there was a second wave of the body positivity movement, but this time it prioritized providing people of all sizes a place where they could comfortably come together and exercise. And even though the 1990s had some sort of body positivity to it, this was also an era filled with diet trends and weight loss fads. And this was often perpetuated by media portrayals of beauty that popularized supermodels and celebrities. And so there was even some models labeled as heroin chic. So this was also a time where being super skinny was very much in trend. And so for those that were not fitting the beauty standard, this was definitely a hard time to be body positive, but that didn't mean that the movement ended there. And then what we all know is the third wave in 2010, where we see the body positivity movement that we know, and it arose around 2012 in a response to the increase in social media culture and advertisements. And although it's largely been co-opted by, capitalistic pursuits and making money off of all the ways that you could really make money off of a movement like this, the main purpose is to focus on mostly women, because we recognize that women face more societal pressures to conform to beauty standards than men, but just to bring light to all of the issues that come with our bodies and living in this world and trying to feel more positive about ourselves and the body that we come in. Body positivity, but truly meaning it. The whole body positivity movement, I think a lot of the times can be fake. People can preach body positivity, but as soon as someone that's, not pretty, or someone that you deem not pretty is doing something, you're quick to tell them that they're ugly. You're quick to tell them that they're this, that, and the third. And we see that with Fanita's situation in the past, in the present. All of a sudden, right? Same people that were probably hyping her up in the past, but now, so I think the body positivity movement can sometimes be real fake.
People are ugly, and that's fine. Like, some people are.
No, I'm not about to come on here and say Fanita is ugly, because I don't think she is. Like, peep, y'all see that? She real cute. But she is an internet girl, and she should have had a feeling as to what would happen if she said something like this. We're eating her up real bad in the comments. Who gonna tell her Exhibit A is speaking? He talking from experience is insane. Like, the internet does this thing where they uplift people that feel bad about themselves, but they tear down people who think highly of themselves. I'm not going to say if she does or doesn't deserve it, because I personally believe that everybody is beautiful because everybody is beautiful to someone. Like, I think Fanita is real cute, she's real bad, she's real beautiful, but these people in the comments, they might not be thinking that. That doesn't mean she's not beautiful, it just means she's not beautiful to them. That doesn't mean, it doesn't take away from her beauty, what I'm trying to say. She can say what she wants to say, that's her opinion, and y'all are acting like she said something absolutely heinous. But yeah, that was my really quick hot take.
It can be real, just virtue signaling and acting like you care about body positivity, but as soon as you don't like somebody, they happen to not be attractive to you, you're ready to curse them out, right? So actually trying to practice the true meaning of body positivity, trying to actually affirm yourself, affirm others, and honestly just not care so much about beauty standards, because half the time, only 10% of people are going to fit into that box, right? Like, only 10% of people are going to fit into that box. Such a futile pursuit, and it's better to just embrace what you have, what you've been given, and try to appreciate and embrace your uniqueness. Maybe that comes with pretty privilege along the way, but I don't think that should be the goal. It is what it is. Anyway, nonetheless, I think this was a very interesting situation to learn from, and it just brought up an interesting conversation in my mind. This kind of was more of a rant. It wasn't that structured. I'll be shocked if I even post this. But anyway, I hope this was interesting. I hope this taught you guys something. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.